This video is proudly not sponsored. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of those Chinese clone diesel heaters, which are very popular for heating sheds and campervans, caravans, that sort of thing. So I actually do already have one of these, which I heat my workshop studio with, and I've used it for almost 10 years now, and I've had really good luck with it. In fact, it still works perfectly today. And this one is actually supposed to be the same, so we're going to have a look and see if we can figure out exactly what it is. So first of all, we do have the instruction book, and it does say air heater kilowatt 2.0 5.08. So this is just like a universal manual for everything, and well, it's probably been through some kind of translator from Chinese. It does say not to use it in various places, such as around a diesel or petrol station, which, you know, makes quite a lot of sense. I think with a lot of these things, a bit of common sense is always required. But we've got all the instructions here. We're not going to go through them all. And actually, to be honest, a lot of it is fairly self-explanatory. The handiest part of this book will be at the back, where you can see all of the different fault codes. So if you do get a fault code at some point, you can see exactly what it's referring to. We then have the main mounting plate. So we've got the two holes drilled, one for exhaust, one for intake. And yeah, this is how you attach it to a surface or whatever you want to mount it to. That's the big box out of the way. So just very quickly again, the fuel tank, we do have the 4 holes where you can drill through to mount this onto the side of a cabinet or a table. It doesn't really matter what you mount it to, just as long as it is safe. It's nice and slimline, and you'll hear something moving around inside. That is our little bag of hardware. So we've got 4 screws for mounting the tank, but also we've got the fuel outlet, which you attach the pipe to. And if you've never done it before, it could be a little bit daunting, but actually it's very, very simple. So that is the fuel outlet. You basically thread that through, and you can attach the pipe to there. And we do have 2 areas on the tank. So here at the bottom or here on the side. Now, it doesn't, again, matter where you actually drill the holes. It's up to you. If you drill it at the bottom, then it will suck all the fuel until the tank is dry. If you do it here, then it will give you a percentage of fuel left at the bottom, which could be a good idea, because then if you do get any dirt or sediment, then it's going to stay in the tank and it won't get sucked through your heater. But it's always wise to have a filter in line anyway. And of course, the other reason for having 2 different areas to mount your fuel pipe would be depending on which orientation you actually mount your tank. So it's totally up to you, basically. But as for getting the fuel inlet into the tank, you don't just, you know, drop it through and try and hope for the best that it lands directly in the hole that you've drilled, because chances are it won't. Just get a piece of wire and feed it through. That'll be the best way. We then have this fuel pipe, and this is actually for metal fuel tanks, something which I'm not going to be using in this video, but it is there if you need it, and it does also include the gasket as well. We then have the air outlet. This is the hot air outlet, and this does expand. If you pull it, it will expand. Obviously very good for packing it up, good for transportation, the way that it does pack up in such a condensed form. But once you have expanded it, you'll do well to to retract it again to its original form. And it looks like in this kit we get 2, so we probably do have a splitter as well. Yes, we do. We've got this T-shaped splitter. My previous diesel heater actually did not feature this. It was just the one pipe. It was a 1 meter pipe. So it's quite nice that you can have the air going off in 2 different directions. And that is an outlet for the pipe as well, for air distribution. I've got another one. Okay. And then we've got this bag. We've got a bag of all the clips and clamps. And also this is the air, this plastic pot looking thing is the air intake. So you see we've got the holes in the end of there. That's the air intake. Delving further into the box, we have got the air intake pipe. Again, expandable. Another little bag. This is the exhaust muffler, or the silencer. You can actually upgrade these. These are just the standard ones that they include. Actually, I would quite like to get the upgraded one of these and compare it, because it does claim that it can reduce the sound by 20 decibels, which is actually considerable. That is a significant sound reduction. So I'll be interested in doing a test on one of those in a later video. Right, more clips and clamps, fuel filter, cable ties, basically everything we need to attach all the pipes to the main unit. And just got a few things left in here. We've got the fuel line, which I actually don't use. I just upgrade to the rubber fuel line, such as this one here. It looks like this one here. Yeah, like lawnmower fuel line, or indeed car fuel line. And yeah, then we've got the electrics. And we should have in here somewhere the main handset. Okay, we don't. I will keep digging around for that then. Well, considering it's not in any of the other boxes, it must be in here. This is the main heater. I didn't actually specify what colour I wanted, so it looks like they've just sent the standard black version. I think there's also a red version. Oh, actually, I think you can get any colour pretty much. So anyway, yes, there is the control unit. Yeah, this is the very generic looking one. There are several different variances of this, and yeah, that is the most basic. I'm actually looking to try out a more expensive one of these. It's still a clone, but now we should get some information on the side of here regarding how much heat it can produce, the power. There's the fuel pump. These can be a little bit loud with the tapping. They create a tap-tap sound. You can get casings for them to reduce the sound, but I'm yet to try out one of them. I'm not too sure how effective they are. Almost feels like a shame to destroy this packaging. It was so nicely packed in here. Right, so it actually does have a grey cover, which does open up. This opens up, it's like a flap that opens up, and you can see the fan unit in there. So looking underneath, we have got intake and exhaust, very much like an engine. We also have where the red cap is here. This is the fuel inlet. So that's where the diesel goes into the combustion chamber and, yeah, you know, combusts and generates heat. So let's just get this packaging out of the way. So what have we got? We have got a car parking heater, fuel diesel, model BSED5, rated voltage 12 volts, 40 watts, and yes, heating power 1 kilowatt to 5. Now the reason why there is a range there is because you can reduce the amount of heat that it generates just by basically reducing the amount of fuel that gets pumped into it. But that is good enough confirmation for me that that is a 5 kilowatt heater. Yeah, I don't know why it said before that it was a 2, but that's good. We are potentially getting more for our money here, because I've never actually had a 2, so I don't know how effective they are anyway. Okay, so this lifts up, and what we should find here is that, yes, we've got everything in here. So we've got the combustion chamber just here. This is the glow plug, at least it's the cap for the glow plug, and the glow plug can fail, although I've never actually had one fail in all the years I've used one of these, but they're cheap, you can change them, so that's always a good positive. But, you know, at the end of the day, the whole unit is not even that expensive, so you could just get a whole new unit if you want to. And this is the fan. So essentially what happens is it sucks in the cool air here, blows it over these cooling fins, and then it comes out at this end to heat the room or the car or whatever you're running this in. And I know it goes without saying, but, you know, don't have the exhaust inside, you know, put the exhaust outside. I kind of feel bad for saying that, but there's going to be somebody out there who, you know, has the outlets for the exhaust inside. Carbon monoxide is very, very toxic. I've got a few words of warning here. If you want to read that, then please do pause the video and absorb the information. It's a good read, but necessary. Right, so before I set this up, I just have one more thing to show you, and that is my power source. I've got to admit, my other heater cap, inlet cap, screws on way easier than this one. Maybe it just needs a bit of use. And it is also a clone. They're both clones. So it's one of these. It is just a power supply which is designed for one of these heaters. So it's literally plug and play pretty much. Just plug it in, attach the terminals to the end of this, and you are ready to heat. Obviously I've got the UK plug. I'm in the UK, but I'm sure they do sell these with EU or US plugs. I've never actually seen them, but you know, if they don't have it, then I'm sure you could just run an adapter. Of course, if you're using this heater where mains power is not available, then of course, yes, you're going to have to wire this into your vehicle or whatever it may be. So I'm now going to set this whole thing up, and I can show you what it looks like in just a minute, and we'll run through exactly how I went about it. And this is what it looks like when it's all set up. Obviously, this is a very unique setup just for me, as it is in a workshop, on a shed, wooden shed, but it works. It's going to be different for everybody, depending on what application you are using this on. So this has been a direct replacement for the one which I already had, and it has been on here for probably 6 years. No problems at all works absolutely perfectly. So let's give this one a try. So one thing I've noticed immediately actually is that the handset, the controller, is quite a bit duller than my other one. So if you hold the start button, it should switch on. There we go. What I'll do is I'll close the door in a minute, because this is actually mounted onto the door. So I'll close the door so we can see the screen properly. There is also a remote control, which does work. I have tried it. So we can increase the heat, reduce the heat, turn it on and off with that as well, which can be handy, but to be honest, I've never actually used my other one, so potentially a novelty, but you never know, it could be handy. So that is now starting up. Now what we should find is that the pump will start clicking, and if it's the first time it's been switched on, it may well struggle to get the fuel through to begin with, because there'll be air in the fuel line. There we go, let's just start it up. Yeah, mine might not have an issue with getting the fuel through because it already does the fuel in the line. But that's actually quite loud still. It's, I would say, exactly the same as the previous one. And I did discover this rubber mount in the packet, but it hasn't really made it much quieter. But it does make it easy to mount onto the wall, or indeed the door. Now we've got the exhaust going through there. Now what we're going to find is this exhaust pipe is going to discolour considerably over time. Okay, so we're blowing air through here. And so what it looks like on the other side, it is immediately getting the fuel through, so that's great. You can just keep cycling the system until it does get the fuel through. Now you may initially get some white smoke, that is totally normal. Just as long as it isn't excessive, it will clear in a few minutes. But actually this one is being very clean. I haven't actually noticed any smoke at all. So I'm actually using an old Briggs & Stratton fuel tank as my diesel tank. Got my inline filter and tap, and we've already got really warm air blowing through here. That's all working wonderfully. Now I hope you can still hear me okay. I'm just going to reduce that. So we are getting quite a lot of on-screen information. Little blue icon is the fuel pump. You get a red one which shows the glow plug. That's only on at the start and at the very end. So that's now gone off. As you can hear, it's getting quieter. We've got it on H1, which is the coolest setting. It's just winding down. It's just going to tick over, or idle at that. But obviously, even at these low speeds, we've still got a relatively loud fuel pump. So it's just something to keep in mind. You can see the temperature in here is starting to increase as well. Now there are other things that we can see. So you can see the temperature that we're currently at 172 Celsius. And one thing which I must just point out actually is, I noticed this with my other one years ago. When you first set it up, the smell that it produces, not from the exhaust, but from the main heating pipe here, it's quite strong. You probably do want to ventilate the room first, because it's like a really hot plastic smell. It does clear. My other one did the same thing. And obviously, yeah, you do not want to be breathing the fumes out of the exhaust pipe, because that needs to be expelled out into the fresh air. But yeah, as we have cooled that down, you can see the temperature is slowly coming down, but it's still producing a fair amount of heat. It's really hot. What I can feel coming out of here is really, really hot. Yeah, the screen does get brighter when you interact with it. So you've got the voltage, and this is our heat setting. H6 is the maximum on this one. Yeah, if you keep going up, it will just go back to 1 again. So I think what I'll do is I'll leave it going for about 5 minutes and we'll see what temperature we can get things to. Yeah, so you can see that's working fine. The remote. Currently on 172, 20 degrees. So you can see the temperature in here is 18. It's 6 minutes past 5, so we'll check that again at 10 past and we'll see what it can do in another 4 minutes. And that is 4 minutes. So it's now 20 degrees. And this is showing 208. 24 at this end of the room. Okay, so let's reduce this. What I'm going to do now is a couple of sound tests. One with it on its lowest setting, and then one on its maximum setting. So it's down on its lowest setting. So right at the end of the exhaust pipe, about 68. About 64 round to the left of it. Around the same here. Okay, so 68, 69 seems to be our peak. And on the inside, close to the outlet, about 58, 59. About 62. And near the exhaust pipe. About 61. Now let's do everything on maximum power. Now it sounds a lot louder. About 72. Seventy, 71. That's 66. Seventy, 71. About 66, 67. And it must be said actually, the fuel pump doesn't appear as loud when it's running faster. That's not just because of the noise from the heater, it just doesn't seem to be as loud, it's not as loud. So all in all, actually, not bad. It's certainly quieter than my older one. Yeah, the fan sound isn't as loud. And to turn it off, all you have to do is hold down the button, the on-off button, and off it goes. And it'll wind down, blow out all the remaining heat, and then it'll switch off. You can see the glow plug light has come on. As you can hear, it's hardly running, but really, really nice hot air blowing out of there. It's almost 5:20 and the room is at 21. And this shed is about the same size as a camper van, a caravan, that sort of size. Right, so now I've got it all running and I've demonstrated it. I want to just do a quick little helpful tip here. If you are trying to get yours started and it just will not get the fuel through, then what you can do is you can force it to prime. So what you do is you hold down the up and the down buttons at the same time. And as you can hear, the pump goes rapidly. Now you can keep doing that, I think, as many times as you want, but please do bear in mind that when you do that, if the fuel does get through, you could absolutely flood your combustion chamber. So if that happens, well, it's going to be pretty smoky. So we want to be careful. You do want to be very, very careful when doing that. Just do it, test it, see if it works. Hopefully it will. If you are getting fuel delivery issues, then you're going to get the error 8 on the screen. It's going to say E-8. So that is one of the error codes for fuel not getting through. So anyway, yeah, hopefully you're going to have no problems anyway if you do get one of these with the priming of it. But that is always, in my opinion, the most tricky part with these. So what do I actually think to this diesel heater? Well, as I've already owned one before, I sort of knew what to expect. But this does seem to be an upgraded version. My other one is considerably older. I do have probably one complaint, but it's a complaint which does have a solution, and that is that it takes a little while to set up. But this one here, which is more of an all-in-one unit, would solve that problem. So it is totally up to you which one you go for. This one does require a little bit more setting up than this one here, but they obviously do both have pipes. The main benefit to this one is it doesn't need to have the diesel tank set up, whereas this one does. Now, one really big positive to these diesel heaters is they don't use much electricity and they generate a lot of heat for what they are. They're not very big. And as you can see here, we obviously don't know how accurate this is, but we'd hope that this is accurate. We do have a fuel consumption chart, and you can see even the biggest one, it's only 0.54 litres per hour. That's quite impressive. The one which I've got here is just less than half a litre per hour. I think that is quite amazing. And if you had it on the lowest heat setting, only 0.18 litres per hour. Pretty impressive. As for noise, well, they're not quiet, but at the same time they're not horrendous. They probably could get a little bit irritating if you are trying to sleep, but as I've only ever used one in a workshop, yeah, it's fine. It's good for me, and I've even recorded some videos with it running as well, albeit on a lower setting. And also, as it is a complete kit, you do get nearly everything that you need, with the exception of fuel and the power supply. But the power supply may be your vehicle's battery anyway. So just quickly, in conclusion, what do I think of it overall? Well, because I've already had around 8 years experience with one, I'm very impressed. This one just seems to be even better than the one I had before, an upgraded version. And because I have had that one previously, which is also a clone diesel heater, I can with a lot more confidence say that this one is very good. If I had literally just been sent this out of the blue and I had never used one before, then I would think, yeah, it's pretty good, but how long will it last? Well, hopefully a long time. Just want to emphasize, this has not been sent to me, except for by the courier that delivered it when I purchased it 100% with my own money. These videos are not sponsored, and my aim is to never record a sponsored video where somebody has sent me a product to review. That's not what this channel is about. I want to give 100% honest reviews. I want to try stuff out in my own time and share it with you. So there's one more thing to do, and that is to stick a sticker on it. Is it space junk or is it a shooting star? Well, in my opinion, it's a shooting star.